So annotation essentially is having a conversation with the text with a pen in hand. Obviously I have a pen here, so we're going to start and I'm going to show you kind of what annotation looks like for me. Remember that annotation is different for everyone. It's kind of what you're comfortable with, but I'm going to give you kind of an idea of how this conversation looks. So the article's title is Monkey See, Monkey Do. I'm going to say already I have a question here and I'm going to put why. Maybe I'll come back and revisit why is it called Monkey See, Monkey Do. I noticed the date is September 20th, 2019, and the author or writer is Ashley O'Ryan, LRHS. I have no clue what this means, so again, another question mark. Maybe I'll be able to fill that in later. Arkansas, this is where it takes place. Longtime Little Rock High School teacher, Mr. Rumi. Well, I guess I found this out. This is Little Rock High School, so I know what that is. So Ashley O'Ryan is from Little Rock High School, or she's reporting there, she works there. So let's see what happens. Longtime Little Rock High School teacher, Mr. Rumi, isn't so easy to get along with. I'm asking why. Asking these questions, why? What's wrong with this guy? And some argue that he has brought conflict on himself. Rumi is often observed laughing at students, calling them names, playing games on his phone, and coming into class unprepared. So I know why. He's mean. The odd thing is, these actions are usually what he complains about when it comes to his students. Oh, I think I'm getting clues here back to this monkey see, monkey do, but I'll come back to that at the end. Rumi's inability to connect with his students stems from the fact that he is hypocritical. Not quite sure what that means, but it looks like it has it here. He does the things he tells them not to do. Okay, so we're good. We know that this is what hypocritical is. He treats his students with little respect and is very condescending when he speaks to them in class. Now this word I don't know at all, so I'm going to give it my best guess using context clues. So if he's hypocritical, he treats his students with little respect, maybe condescending means to speak down to someone. And I may come back later, get the actual definition, and check it off and say, yep, I was right. So in the end, I'm going to go back to the title, full circle. Monkey see, monkey do. So I guess these students are seeing what Mr. Rumi's doing and they're doing it too. So he's kind of like the bad example. I see why. So students, I'm gonna go back, mimicking Mr. Rumi. If I wanted to kind of sum this up on the side, I could just summarize by saying Mr. Rumi's fault, students acting up. Kind of like a quick summary. And lastly, I want to go back to this date here and this person or this writer here. So I'm going to kind of pull this over here. Ashley O'Ryan, LRHS. So she's from the high school. Maybe she's a principal. Maybe she's another teacher. Maybe she's an ex-girlfriend. All of these ideas would be people who maybe knew Mr. Rumi or is writing this article. Maybe she's a student in a journalism class. We don't really know, but here's some ideas. I would have to Google Ashley O'Ryan, kind of do some fact checking and background checking on her to figure out exactly where she comes from, what her context is, and if she's credible, is she believable? Or is this kind of like a slander piece and she's kind of like maybe lying about Mr. Rumi? Who knows? But these are all great questions to ask, and I may consider Googling later. This is what annotation looks like for me. It's kind of messy, but it works for me. For you, you might be someone who uses rectangles or blocks and writes clean in the corner. You might be someone who highlights something or writes a star next to something. For me, I work with checks, question marks. I sometimes underline and I make lines. That works for me. But again, annotation is simply having a conversation with the text with a pen in hand, truly engaging with the text. If I were to just read this quickly, I wouldn't have gathered all of these little clues and information, and I really wouldn't have had that deep understanding of what's going on here. So I urge you, when you're reading these short stories and excerpts, to annotate with this in mind and kind of engage with the text.